Can you, I mean, it, can you even really, is it appropriate to review a documentary? I guess that's the question today on special features, but this is a movie that I have been waiting literally years to come out. Seriously. It has been done for 2 years, and I had been unable to make it to any of the screenings. At least, I think there were public screenings at a couple of film festivals.
Yep. At least the Tribeca Film Festival in the US.
And to be honest, I didn't even know this film was going to be streaming onto Disney Plus until the day it was released, August 7th, 2020. This is really emotional for me, so bear with me. The day I lost my father to cancer, like 5 years ago, I shed one tear, and it was a tear of relief. But the day Howard Ashman died, on March 14th, 1991, I was a kid, but I remember it so vividly. I was frozen. My tiny little world had shattered. How could the person who wrote these amazing songs that I had already grown to absolutely worship be gone? Those songs didn't just speak to me. They reached into my very being and grabbed my soul, and they never let go. His death was the first to affect me, and to this day may have hit me among the absolute hardest. And in case it's not clear, I never met this man. I did not know him. At that point, I didn't even know what AIDS was, except that it was something that I already knew was being misunderstood by grown-ups. Back then, people thought you could get it from a drinking fountain.
You can't.
And I definitely did not know yet that I was a part of the LGBT community. I remember seeing the Oscars when Beauty and the Beast won, and seeing Howard's partner, if that's the word they use, then that's the word I'll use, Bill Lauch, saying that Howard and he shared a home and a life together, and not really understanding what that meant. I understood that you couldn't get AIDS from a water fountain, but not that two men could love each other.
Let's just say that I was naive.
I knew what a tremendous loss this was to, yes, to Disney, to animation, to entertainment in general, to the world, and yes, to history. Howard Ashman, in his short life, changed the course of history. To be clear, this is not hyperbole. To call him a genius is a gross understatement. I was a kid, and I heard about his death on the news. I had already been really excited about this new movie, Beauty and the Beast, coming to theaters this fall. So one of my first thoughts, as I laid flat on a mattress that had no box springs and my toys scattered around the room, one of my first thoughts was just how sad it was that he would never be able to see the finished film. Of course, working in film now, I understand that films are finished months in advance of release, but no, he didn't ever see Beauty and the Beast, not the final, finished version. And Howard, Don Hahn's brilliant documentary, it takes us on a journey that leads us to that knowledge. And I can't think of anyone better than Mr. Hahn to have told his story. He was the producer of Beauty and the Beast, so he was there for the end of this story. So who better to find the beginning? Now, I didn't spoil anything. Can you really spoil a documentary? Like Hayao Miyazaki's Grave of the Fireflies, we are told where we're going in the first narrated sentence of the film. And then, wow. We are made a part of his world, shown what a great big brother he was, entertaining his sister with stories of Peter Pan and Aladdin, blissfully unaware, though probably hopeful, that his work, even on Aladdin, would, as he put it, sit comfortably on a shelf next to stories like that. According to his press release, Don Hahn wanted to transport the viewer to the rooms that Howard was in. More than anything, I wanted Howard, one of the great storytellers of our time, to tell his own story in his own words. And in my opinion, he succeeded. Considering how much research I've done on Howard Ashman's life and work through the years, I am always looking for more. And I'll admit, I was a bit timid going in, thinking it might be a collection of everything I've heard and read, but at least pieced together in a new and exciting way. And, I mean, thank the gods, it was so much more than that. Far from a few tidbits of new Howard Ashman trivia, which I would have settled for, to be honest. We really get into the meat of his life, how excited he was to go to New York with his first real boyfriend, Stewart, their downfall, Stewart's fate, and Howard's rise to fame, his partnerships with his songwriting partner, Alan Menken, who, yes, actually scored the film.
While watching it, I heard the score and thought I might recognize it as Menken's work, and sure enough.
And his romantic partnership with acute architect Bill Lauch. Then we come to his more publicized time, his work on Little Shop of Horrors, The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin. But the filmmakers don't give us a puff piece on this period. Han said that would be too easy. I didn't want old guys reminiscing about how great he was, how generous he was, or how smart he was, all of which are true, and none of which needed to be said. His work said all that. Instead, Han chose to dig far deeper than that, actually searching for 2 years to finally find one press junket for Little Mermaid, so that this story could be told in as much of Ashman's own words. Because if you were making a film about one of the most gifted musical storytellers of the 20th century, why wouldn't you let him tell his own story? Indeed, Mr. Han. We do see so much of him, from his baby pictures to his adulthood. The film is almost exclusively kinestasis, a filmmaking technique using still images, in this case, photographs of Howard and those closest to him. There are some interviews, audio and video, and several film clips, even some really amazing recreation shots where we're transported into Ashman's childhood, and we see what it must have been like to hear the story that he was telling his baby sister. We see the house that he and Lauch built together, even as his life was fading away. Those who are still with us speak their words. Of course, Han himself, Alan Menken, Bill Lauch, Glenn Keane, Jodie Benson, Gary Trousdale, Kirk Wise, even Jeffrey Katzenberg. But the meat of this is those who were closest to him earlier in life, most especially his sister Sarah, and his original managing director of the WPA Theater, the theater company that originally produced Little Shop, Kyle Rennick. We hear a lot from them, and wow. Han is and was a Disney producer. It would have been so easy to gloss over Howard's dirty past, and there's a bit of spit shine on it, especially being that this is on Disney+. I guess they had to censor the word whorehouse, which Howard's first theater with Stewart sat below. But his friends and family talk about his struggles, his achievements, his goals, and how hard he worked to attain them. They talk about how much he wanted stability and love, and how he found that with Bill Lauch after struggling to find it with Stewart. Most horrifically, they really talk about how hard it was for this man who was so strong, so revered, so loved by so many within the studio and from, kids like me, to be sick. They talk about how he had to keep it a secret because he would have lost his medical insurance. AIDS was a death sentence back then. I mean, so many, even within the LGBT community, but especially the heterosexual world, still basically think it is. We have only made the huge advancements we have now within the last 10, maybe 12 years, but in 1991, there was no hope. They talk about him getting, fluids to try and keep him healthy. But there was no Truvada, no Odefsfree, no AZT. They don't talk about how Howard got HIV, but I feel like those of us in the LGBT community who watch this, at least those of us who are responsible and get tested regularly,
Because of losses like that of Howard Ashman.
will know. They don't have to say it. We know. And it's not important. What is important is finally having the history of this man who was simultaneously a man, but also so much more than a man, but never less of a man, not even as he deteriorated and lost his ability to walk, to see, to even speak. He used everything he was to give us, the audience, this rich history of animation, these songs. And not just the songs. Ashman was a storyteller first. He's credited as producer on both Mermaid and Beast, and he wrote the book and screenplay for Little Shop. He gave us so much more than clever lyrics like Behind This Fair Facade, I'm Afraid She's Rather Odd, or power ballads where the boy and the girl agree that she can be more, the girl that's inside you. He gave us the scene where Sebastian tells Ariel to pucker up her lips like this, and Triton's realization that Ariel really does love Prince Eric. He gave us the Beast's character arc, which is the best thing about that movie, and I don't think that's a controversial statement. If I didn't make it clear, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I strongly recommend you watch it on Disney+, and if you don't have Disney+, get it. Just for this film. Get it. It's one of the best documentaries I've seen in a long time. The decision not to show talking heads, but only hear their voices, was bold, and I believe it paid off. There's a lot of film clips, especially towards the end when we get to his more popular productions, and that's forgivable. But I guess my one gripe would be the final shot. Mr. Hahn wanted to show that Howard's genius lives on, even to this day, and I get it, but maybe it's just that I'm not a fan of the Beauty and the Beast remake. I know that Hahn was an executive producer of it, but to have that be the final shot of the film rather than, maybe a shot of Howard himself or his gravestone, it was a bit of a letdown. And I know that that might sound morbid, and maybe you liked the live-action Beauty and the Beast. Maybe it's uplifting to you. But to me, hearing what is on Howard's grave from his partner Bill Lauch at the Oscars almost 30 years ago, in a strange way, it inspired me to the life that I now lead in so many ways. So, much like Hahn let Howard speak his words, I'll let Mr. Lauch speak his. Thank you for watching.
Howard and I shared a home and a life together, and I'm very happy and very proud to accept this for him. But it is bittersweet. This is the first Academy Award given to someone we've lost to AIDS. In working on Beauty and the Beast, Howard faced incredible personal challenges, but always gave his best. And what made that possible was an atmosphere of understanding, love, and support. That's something everyone facing AIDS not only needs, but deserves. There's an inscription at Howard's grave in Baltimore. It reads, "Oh, that he had one more song to sing." We'll never hear that song, but I'm deeply grateful for this tribute you've given to what he left behind. For Howard, I thank you.